Hi there, this is Tony Lewis with Greenlight Digital, and today I'm going to walk you guys through how you can get a perfect speed score using GTMetrix. And of course, this video is only for you if you actually use WordPress. If you're custom building your site using some other tool, this is probably not going to be your video to watch. So just make sure that you're actually using WordPress, and I'm going to walk you guys through 6 steps that you should take into account to make sure that you get a good speed score using GTMetrix or Google's speed test page. Now, keep something in mind before we actually jump into the video. There's absolutely no reason why you guys should be obsessing with your speed score unless you're getting a really bad speed score. But even so, let me just say this before we actually jump into the video. Google doesn't even know what your speed score is. They don't read this. The only thing that Google takes into account is how long it takes people to actually engage with your website. If your website loads quickly enough for people to actually engage with it quickly, in under a second ideally, then you're going to be fine. Even if you get a C or even a D. I mean, I've gotten sites that make use of really heavy JavaScript on their homepage and they were still really fast. But since there's a lot of things happening in the background, they were still getting a really bad, speed score. But still, Google doesn't know this. Google only takes into account how long it takes people to engage with your content. Now, with that said, let's jump into the 6 things that you should take into account while trying to really get that really good speed score. The first thing is hosting. Hosting, I mean, it's 2021. There's no reason why you guys should still be dealing with crappy hosting. You can host with great companies like us, or you can host with great companies like WPX, WP Engine. We've used a lot of these. We can vouch for, WPX, WP Engine. These are all great and affordable resources that you can look into. There's no reason for you guys to still be hosting with GoDaddy. GoDaddy is horrible. Bluehost, stay away from these companies and just spend the little extra money in terms of hosting, which it's not even that expensive today. If you're a solopreneur or if you guys are small businesses, look into our services, look into WPX, look into WP Engine. These are great resources for you guys if you're looking to upgrade your hosting services. And hosting is probably going to be the #1 thing that impacts your speed. The second thing are images, and this is probably the biggest one that we find with clients that we're onboarding, particularly clients in the fashion space. You'll find these entrepreneurs that spend a lot of money in these great photo shoots, and they come up with these great resolution images. They look stunning, they look fabulous, but they're so big, and they put them up all over their homepage that all of a sudden we find ourselves with a page that's maybe like 8 megabytes big, and that's just that's insane. That's an insane amount of content that you're asking users to download onto their browsers, and it's obviously going to take longer for them to do so. And so images are probably the #1 thing that really brings people's speed scores down. So you want to make sure that you're optimizing images before you're actually uploading them into WordPress, and make sure that you're also using either Imagify or ShortPixel. We can vouch for both of these services. These are plugins that you can install that will actually really help you optimize your images. But make sure that you're not trying to upload onto your site an image that's 2 megabytes big. It's just not going to work. Typically, hero images, the ones that go up in your hero section, these can probably be between 200 to 300 kilobytes, and that's probably the heaviest images that you should ever put on your pages. And ideally, you want to keep them under 200 kilobytes as well. The third thing that's probably going to impact your speed the most is CSS and JavaScript. So if you're making use of fancy animations, if you're making use of sliders, if you're making use of any other type of fancy effect that makes use of JavaScript, these are probably going to collapse your speed scores. Because here's what's happening. Even if your site loads fast, there's still a lot of JavaScript that your browser is trying to render, and Google sees this, and therefore it hits you with a crappy speed score, because it realizes that, hey, there's still things happening in the background and people are not fully loading your page yet, and so it penalizes you with a really bad speed score. Now, like I'm saying, you shouldn't really obsess over this because your site is still fast. People are still engaging with your site. So this is where you kind of really need to find the balance between, all right, do I really care about the speed score where Google doesn't even read this? Or do I want to make sure that I get to use the fancy whatever it is that I'm using and make sure that people really have a better experience on site? In my opinion, typically, I don't really like using fancy stuff that may actually distract people from either converting or opting in or doing something else. But it really comes down to your preference and your needs. Evaluate, think about it. Like I said, you shouldn't really be over obsessing with the speed score, that whatever speed score you're getting, but keep that in mind. As long as your site is fast, you should be good to go. The next thing that I want to talk to you guys about is caching. So caching is probably one of the most important things that you should take into account. Not asking people to reload all of the content that you're storing on site is very important. And so we can vouch for WProcket. In fact, that's the only caching plugin that I'm going to vouch for. It's the one that we always use with all of our clients. And it allows you to actually combine and minify CSS and JavaScript. And this is extremely important. You want to make sure that you're doing this always. Now, if you're going to do this, make sure that you're not actually using any heavy resources that make use of JavaScript on your site, because these will probably break if you try to combine and minify JavaScript and CSS. If you're doing a lot of CSS in the background by yourself, make sure that you're not combining this, but these things will probably penalize your speed score. If you're combining CSS, if you're combining JavaScript, if you're minifying both things, these things will really, really get you over, probably to the A results of your speed scores. And this will really, really help you. So get WProcket, minify JavaScript, minify CSS, combine both things, and you're going to see a great, great impact on your speed score. Like I said, we can only vouch for WProcket. It works great. If it breaks your site, play ahead with the settings. Some things will make it crash. Some things will make it, maybe elements on your site will probably look differently if you're doing these things. But for the most part, using Thrive Theme Builder, we haven't had any issues. And this actually leads me to the next thing. Thrive Theme Builder. So you need a good theme. Your theme is probably going to be very important as well. We can vouch for Thrive. We've been using Thrive since 2014. Now that Thrive Theme Builder came out last year, we've been building all of our themes from scratch. We've actually gotten clients that we've worked with in the past migrated over to Thrive Theme Builder because, number one, it's extremely fast, it's extremely worth it, and it works really well in terms of, actually creating a meaningful website. We're all about creating meaning. We don't really care that much about fancy things or fancy animations or, the aesthetics, and the design is important, but you can get a good design and good aesthetics using a well-performing, meaningful website done. So that's all about what we are. And that's pretty much it. I mean, you can see good results if you follow these steps. And I'll be happy to take any questions that you may have. If you follow these steps, you're going to see great results, I'm sure of it. Just like I said at the beginning of the video, just make sure that you're thinking about what really matters to you and your business. Do I really care about, the one thing that you should really care about is speed. Are people actually engaging with my website quickly enough? If people don't need to wait long, then you're going to be fine. It doesn't really matter about the speed score is not going to matter that much. It's not going to impact anything. It's not going to penalize you SEO wise. Now, a bad speed score oftentimes can really point you towards, hey, my site is not quick enough. Let me run a speed score and see where I'm actually lacking some extra help in some areas. That, can really be helpful. But like I'm saying, if you're getting a C score, don't overthink it. And if you really want to get over to the A top, follow these steps and you're going to see great results. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to help you guys out.